chosen one. Stop for a moment. Do not rush past this. Do not treat this like another message about love. Heaven has already placed a weight on this word, and your spirit knows it before your mind can argue with it. You did not arrive here by accident. This message found you because something in your heart has been quietly waiting for confirmation. You won. Let those words sit in your spirit. You won, not because somebody else lost. You won because the part of you that used to beg for crumbs is finally losing power. You won because you survived the seasons where love felt like a battlefield, while your heart still refused to become cold, bitter, or cruel. Heaven is sending your lifetime partner. But listen carefully. This is not about a random romance. This is not about someone who simply makes your loneliness feel less loud. This is about a divine union. This is about a connection that carries purpose, peace, protection, and covenant weight. The person heaven is preparing is not just coming to touch your emotions, they are coming to stand beside your assignment. That is why the delay hurt so much. That is why the wrong people could not stay. That is why the door kept closing every time you tried to force it open with hope, patience, excuses, and silent prayer. You thought heaven was ignoring your heart, but heaven was guarding it. You thought you were being rejected, but you were being protected from a union that would have drained your oil. You know exactly what I am talking about. There were people you wanted to choose you. There were conversations you replayed at night. There were signs you begged heaven to explain. And there were moments when you looked at your own reflection and wondered if maybe you were too deep, too sensitive, too intense, or too difficult to love correctly. But that was never the truth. You were not too much. You were just too sacred for casual hands. You were not too hard to love. You were too covenant-minded for people who only wanted access. And every time someone mishandled your heart, heaven was not silent. Heaven was taking notes. You gave chances. You forgave things that broke you. You stayed calm when your spirit was screaming. And even when your body was tired, even when your chest felt heavy, even when your sleep became restless, you still tried to believe that love was possible for you. That is why this message is not arriving empty. It is arriving as a verdict. Heaven decided. The union is divine. The delay has not been denial. The silence has not been abandonment. The waiting has not been wasted. What you called loneliness was actually a hidden room of preparation, where heaven was teaching your heart to stop confusing intensity with intimacy. There is a kind of love that feels exciting because it keeps you anxious. There is a kind of attention that feels powerful because it keeps you guessing. There is a kind of connection that feels spiritual because it awakens old wounds, but it does not bring peace. You have known that kind of connection before. It pulled on your soul, but it did not cover your spirit. This time will be different. Not because you are luckier now, not because you finally became enough. You were always enough. This time will be different because heaven has trained your discernment through disappointment, and your heart has learned to hear what your eyes used to ignore. Think about the people who left. Think about the ones who made you feel chosen one day and disposable the next. Think about the ones who loved your light but hated the responsibility that came with standing near it. They wanted your comfort. They wanted your forgiveness. They wanted your presence. But they did not want covenant. That is why they could not stay. The door did not close because you failed. The door closed because heaven refused to let your lifetime partner compete with counterfeit access. The wrong person had to lose permission before the right person could be released into your life. And you have felt this shift. Maybe you have not been able to explain it. Maybe nothing obvious has happened yet. But something inside you is different. You are not chasing the same way. You are not checking the same way. You are not waiting beside the same emotional door with your hands full of excuses for someone who keeps proving they cannot hold what heaven placed in you. You are tired of almost. You are tired of maybe. You are tired of connections that require you to abandon your peace just to feel wanted. And because you are finally tired in the right place, heaven can begin sending what your old desperation would have missed. Chosen one, this is important. Your lifetime partner is not being sent to rescue a broken identity. They are being sent to meet the version of you that heaven has been rebuilding in the secret place. That means the union does not begin with them. It begins with you agreeing to stop returning to the emotional Egypt that heaven already delivered you from. You may have noticed strange signs lately. A sudden calm after months of emotional noise. A dream that felt too real. A name that appeared in your mind without warning. A repeated number on the clock. A feeling that someone is close, even though your physical life still looks quiet. Do not dismiss these things too quickly. Your spirit often knows before your schedule changes. Your soul often senses movement before your eyes see proof. Heaven sometimes announces transition through restlessness, dreams, memories, and sudden peace. And when divine union is approaching, old attachments often begin to lose their taste before the new connection appears. That is why you may feel detached from people you once begged to understand you. That is why old messages do not pull you the same way. That is why you can think about someone who once broke you and feel almost nothing. It is not because you became heartless. It is because heaven is removing emotional hooks. You are being freed from the need to be chosen by those who were never assigned to cover you. You are being released from the fear that if one person did not love you well, no one ever will. You are being separated from the lie that love must feel like panic before it can be real. Breathe for a moment. Let your shoulders drop. You have carried this question for too long. Will I ever be loved without having to perform? Will someone ever see me without making me explain every wound? Will someone ever stay without needing me to shrink, beg, chase, or prove my worth? Heaven heard all of that. Even the prayers you did not say out loud were heard. Even the tears you wiped quickly before anyone entered the room were recorded. Even the nights when you told yourself you were fine, while your spirit was quietly aching for a safe place to rest, heaven was present. This is why the word lifetime matters. Heaven is not sending a temporary distraction. Heaven is not sending a person who only likes your beauty, your energy, your voice, your kindness, or your ability to make them feel strong. Heaven is sending someone who recognizes the weight of your spirit. They will not be intimidated by your depth. They will not punish your sensitivity. They will not make you feel foolish for needing honesty. And they will not treat your calling like competition, because the right person will understand that loving you means honoring what God placed inside you. But before that person can arrive fully, something has to be settled inside you. You cannot carry counterfeit fear into covenant love. You cannot keep expecting the new person to pay for the wounds created by the old one. And you cannot call peace boring, simply because chaos trained your nervous system to feel alive only when love was unstable. This is the first sign that heaven has already started the work. You are beginning to want peace more than attention. You are beginning to want consistency more than chemistry. You are beginning to want a love that can pray with you, build with you, correct you gently, and remain steady when life becomes heavy. That desire is not random. It is evidence of maturity. It is evidence that the old cycle is breaking. It is evidence that the part of you that once confused absence with mystery is finally waking up. You are not craving games anymore. You are craving covenant. And the enemy knows this. The enemy knows that a healed chosen one in the right union becomes dangerous. Not dangerous in a loud way, dangerous in a holy way. Because when two people are assigned by heaven, their peace becomes a weapon, their agreement becomes a covering, and their shared purpose becomes a door that darkness cannot easily enter. That is why the attacks around your heart have been so intense. That is why confusion kept circling your relationships. That is why almost connections kept appearing at the edge of breakthrough. The enemy did not just want to break your heart. The enemy wanted to train your heart to stop expecting anything sacred. But it did not work. You are still here. You still believe. Even if your belief is quiet, you still hope. Even if you are careful with that hope now, you still feel that somewhere, Someone has the spiritual capacity to meet you without making you carry the whole connection alone. That hope is not weakness, it is a witness. It is proof that heaven kept something alive in you, even through seasons where love felt delayed, confusing, or unfair. You were never foolish for believing in divine union. You were only early for the version of yourself that could receive it without fear. Listen closely. The wrong people were not strong enough to destroy what heaven wrote over your life. They were only allowed to reveal where your heart still needed healing. Their leaving exposed your attachment. Their silence exposed your anxiety. Their inconsistency exposed your hunger for certainty, but their absence also created space. That space is holy now. Do not rush to fill it with noise. Do not run back because the room feels quiet. Do not mistake emptiness for failure. Sometimes heaven clears a room before bringing in what carries weight, because sacred things do not enter crowded spaces. Your lifetime partner will not need you to be frantic to prove love. They will not need you to bleed to prove loyalty. They will not need you to carry every conversation, explain every silence, or decode every mixed signal. Their presence will not require you to betray your peace. And when they come, something in you will recognize peace before your mind has enough evidence. That does not mean there will be no process. That does not mean there will be no patience. But the foundation will feel different, because divine union does not begin by tearing your spirit apart. This is the message your heart needed. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished, because love has taken longer for you than it did for others. Some people can enter ordinary relationships quickly, but you are not being prepared for ordinary. You are being aligned for divine covenant. So do not envy what others received fast. Fast does not always mean faithful. Visible does not always mean blessed. Some unions look beautiful in public, but they are bleeding in private, because they were built on chemistry without covering, attraction without assignment, and desire without discernment. Heaven is not sending you something that only photographs well. Heaven is sending what can survive the weight of your calling. Heaven is sending what can stand through storms, pray through pressure, build through uncertainty, and love you without needing to control the gift inside you. That is why you won. You won when you stopped chasing. You won when you stopped shrinking. You won when you stopped explaining your soul to people committed to misunderstanding it. And even if your hands still feel empty, your spirit is already standing in the doorway of a new season. Do not let the quiet fool you. Quiet is often where heaven finishes the arrangement. Quiet is often where the final counterfeit loses access. Quiet is often where your heart learns the sound of peace. So when the lifetime partner arrives, you do not reject them because they do not feel like chaos. There are 3 things heaven is breaking before this union steps fully into view. Heaven is breaking the voice that says you are hard to love. Heaven is breaking the attachment to what almost destroyed your peace. And heaven is breaking the mental noise that makes you question a blessing simply because it arrives gently. Stay with this message. The next part matters. Because before heaven releases the person who can walk with you for a lifetime, heaven must show you why the person you wanted before could not be allowed to stay. And once you understand that, you will stop grieving what was actually a rescue. Now listen with your whole spirit. The person heaven removed was not always evil. Sometimes counterfeit comes with tenderness. Sometimes counterfeit knows how to pray beside you, speak softly to you, and make your wounded heart believe it has finally found safety. That is why the separation confused you so deeply. You kept asking why something that felt so powerful could end so painfully. You wondered why your spirit felt attached, while your peace kept disappearing. And every time you tried to explain the connection, you had to ignore the part of you that was quietly losing rest, clarity, and confidence. That is the first mark of counterfeit love. It pulls on your longing, but it does not protect your peace. It awakens desire, but it does not strengthen your purpose. It makes you feel chosen in private moments, while leaving you uncertain in the places where covenant should be clear. Heaven did not separate you because your love was worthless. Heaven separated you because your heart was too valuable to be trained by confusion. You were not being punished. You were being interrupted. And the interruption felt brutal because you had already built emotional furniture in a room heaven never approved. So heaven stepped in. Not gently at first. Sometimes protection feels like rejection when your attachment is louder than your discernment. Sometimes rescue feels like abandonment when your nervous system has learned to call chaos love. But the closed door was not cruelty. It was mercy. You need to understand this. Counterfeit does not always enter your life wearing darkness. Sometimes counterfeit enters with chemistry. Sometimes it enters with timing that looks almost perfect. Sometimes it enters with words your wounded heart has been starving to hear, and that is why discernment must go deeper than emotion. There are people who can recognize your light without honoring your calling. There are people who love your warmth but resist your depth. There are people who want the comfort of your presence while refusing the responsibility of your spirit. They want access, but they do not want covenant. That is why it kept feeling uneven. You were carrying the connection like an assignment, while they were treating it like an option. You were praying over it. You were studying their silence. You were searching for proof that they cared, while heaven was waiting for you to admit that peace should not require this much labor. Do not romanticize the prison because you were lonely inside it. Do not call it destiny just because the attachment was strong. Strong attachment is not always divine confirmation. Sometimes it is an old wound, recognizing a familiar pattern and mistaking it for home. Heaven is teaching you the difference. A trauma bond pulls you into panic. Divine alignment pulls you into peace. A counterfeit connection makes you perform. A lifetime partner helps you rest. An unstable person makes you question your worth. A covenant person helps you remember who God already called you to be. This is why the old connection had to lose power. If it still had access to your emotional body, you would keep comparing peace to intensity. You would meet someone steady and wonder why they did not feel dangerous. You would call safety boring because the past trained you to confuse anxiety with love. That room is being cleared. It may feel quiet now. It may feel empty. You may even miss the noise sometimes, because noise can feel like movement when you are used to instability. But silence is not proof that nothing is happening. Silence is often proof that heaven is removing what would interrupt the blessing. But notice what has changed. You do not want to chase the same way. You do not want to prove yourself the same way. You do not want to sit beside a phone waiting for someone to treat you like a priority. Something in you is finally tired of being loyal to uncertainty. This is part of the victory. You won when the taste changed. You won when the fantasy stopped feeding you. You won when the apology you waited for no longer controlled your breathing. You won when you realized closure can come from heaven, even when a person never gives you the conversation you deserved. A lifetime partner will not make you feel like a guest in your own connection. They will not make you ask permission to be deep. They will not punish your honesty with silence. They will not weaponize your sensitivity. And they will not use your forgiveness as a doorway to repeat the same wound. But to receive that kind of love, you must stop defending the kind that harmed you. You must stop calling inconsistency complicated. You must stop calling emotional absence a season. You must stop calling spiritual misalignment a test from God when heaven has already shown you the fruit. This is why heaven is now changing your appetite. You may feel less impressed by charm. You may feel less moved by quick chemistry. You may notice that your heart is beginning to ask new questions. Do they bring peace? Do they honor God in me? Do they have fruit? Can they stand beside purpose? Before divine union arrives, heaven often upgrades discernment. You begin to feel what is off faster. You begin to see patterns earlier. You begin to stop arguing with red flags. And when something is not aligned, your body may feel it before your mind has language for it. And this is where many chosen ones need to be careful. When you have lived in survival mode for too long, clarity can feel unfamiliar. Peace can feel suspicious. Stability can feel slow. You may be tempted to run from what is healthy, simply because it does not activate the same fear you used to call passion. This is why your inner world matters so much right now. The lifetime partner may be prepared, but you must also be prepared to recognize them. If your mind is too loud, if old fear keeps speaking over your discernment, you may question a blessing simply because it does not arrive in the costume of chaos. And now I need to plant something gently in your spirit. Later, I will speak more deeply about a simple 7-minute audio called The Genius Song, not as a product to chase, but as a quiet tool that has helped many chosen ones calm the mental noise and return to the clarity they were born to carry. For some of you, the issue is not that heaven has stopped speaking. The issue is that heartbreak, delay, fear, and exhaustion have made the mind too crowded to recognize the signal. When clarity returns, discernment becomes sharper, and you stop calling confusion divine just because it feels familiar. So hold that thought softly. We will return to it later. For now, understand this part first. The person heaven removed was not proof that love failed you. They were proof that heaven refused to let counterfeit become your covenant. And this brings us to the pattern heaven wants you to see next. Ruth did not chase Boaz through desperation. She was positioned, she was covered, she moved in obedience while heaven arranged the field. And when you understand that pattern, you will understand why your lifetime partner is not found by panic, but by alignment. Now, here is where this becomes deeper than romance. Heaven is not only comforting your lonely heart, heaven is showing you a pattern. Divine union has never been built on panic, begging, chasing, or emotional performance. It is built on position, obedience, timing, and peace. Look at the story of Ruth. She had already known loss. She had already buried a future she thought would last. She had already walked through grief, uncertainty, and silence. Yet Ruth did not become reckless with her heart, even while her life looked empty. Ruth did not run into the first arms that noticed her pain. She did not let desperation choose for her. She did not confuse attention with assignment. She stayed faithful to the path in front of her, and while she was doing what was right, heaven placed her in the field where Boaz could see her. That is the pattern. Ruth was not discovered because she was chasing. Ruth was discovered because she was positioned. She was not loud, she was not frantic. Her character spoke before her mouth had to explain anything, and heaven made sure the right person could recognize it. And Boaz was not just a romantic answer. Boaz was a covering. Boaz had capacity. Boaz had integrity. He could recognize what others overlooked, and he did not treat her pain like a weakness he could exploit. He saw her story, but he also saw her strength. That is what heaven is sending you. Not someone merely attracted to your light. Not someone impressed for a season and intimidated later. Heaven is sending someone with enough spiritual capacity to recognize your value without needing to control it. This is why your lifetime partner cannot be just anyone. They must have the strength to stand beside your assignment. They must have the humility to honor what God is doing in you. And they must love you in a way that does not awaken the survival version of you again. You have already had connections that stirred your wounds. You have already known what it feels like to be drawn towards someone who could not cover you. You have mistaken nervous excitement for confirmation because your heart was hungry for proof that someone could finally choose you. But divine love does not keep you starving to keep you attached. Divine love does not make you compete for basic respect. Divine love does not turn consistency into a prize you must earn. When heaven sends someone, their presence will not pull you away from God, peace, purpose, or discernment. Look also at Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac did not build his future through panic. Rebekah did not enter destiny by manipulation. There was movement, obedience, timing, and a quiet arrangement happening beyond what either person could fully see. Heaven knew how to connect what belonged together. That should settle something in you. You do not have to force what heaven can arrange. You do not have to perform for what God has already assigned. You do not have to become smaller, louder, colder, or more available to be found by the person meant to walk with you. Your assignment is not to chase. Your assignment is to become aligned. Your assignment is to heal the parts of you that still confuse withholding with mystery. Your assignment is to let heaven remove every counterfeit appetite, so your spirit can recognize covenant when it enters the room. Because when the right person comes, you will need discernment more than fantasy. Fantasy only asks how they make you feel. Discernment asks what fruit they carry. Fantasy asks if they are exciting. Discernment asks if your peace remains steady when they are near. This is where many chosen ones have been tested. The wrong person often arrives with intensity. They know how to say the right thing quickly. They know how to stir your imagination. They know how to create a rush that feels spiritual, while your inner peace quietly begins to break down. The lifetime partner will feel different. There may still be attraction. There may still be wonder. There may still be a holy sense that something important is happening. But underneath all of it, there will be a strange steadiness, as if your spirit is not being pulled apart to feel loved. That steadiness may challenge you. Peace can feel unfamiliar when your past trained you to expect confusion. Healthy communication can feel slow when chaos trained you to measure love by emotional highs and lows. But do not reject what is stable just because unstable once felt powerful. A counterfeit partner wants access to your gift, but not responsibility for your heart. A lifetime partner wants covenant. A counterfeit partner enjoys your comfort, but avoids your depth. A lifetime partner wants to know the truth of you, even the parts that are still learning to breathe. A counterfeit partner makes you overthink. A lifetime partner helps your spirit exhale. A counterfeit partner turns love into guessing. A lifetime partner turns love into safety. A counterfeit partner feeds the wound. A lifetime partner honors the healing. You must stop asking only if someone wants you. Ask if they can cover what they want. Ask if they can hold peace when your calling brings pressure. Ask if they can honor boundaries without feeling rejected. Ask if they are drawn to your spirit, not just your shine. Because the enemy does not fear you entering just any relationship. The enemy fears you entering the right one. Two wounded people can distract each other for years, but two aligned people can build something that protects generations. That is why divine union is also spiritual warfare. This is why heaven had to prepare you first. If the lifetime partner came while you were addicted to proving your worth, you might have pushed them away. If they came while you were loyal to chaos, you might have called their peace boring. If they came while pain still felt like proof, you might have missed the blessing. So, if you lost someone, breathe. If the door closed, breathe. If the silence still aches sometimes, breathe. That ache is not proof that you made the wrong choice. Sometimes the heart grieves what the spirit already knows was not safe. Ruth had to leave what was familiar before she could enter what was appointed. Rebecca had to move before she could see the full picture. Adam had to rest while God prepared what he could not manufacture. The pattern is clear. Alignment comes before arrival. And now the question is not whether heaven can send the person. Heaven can do that easily. The deeper question is whether your heart can recognize what heaven sends without filtering it through fear, suspicion, and the memory of everyone who mishandled you. That is why the next part is so important. Because the enemy is not only afraid of you being loved, the enemy is afraid of you being loved by someone who strengthens your assignment. A divine union does not just heal your heart. It makes your purpose harder for darkness to stop. Now we have reached the part your spirit needed most. The enemy was not only trying to keep love away from you. The enemy was trying to train you to misread love when heaven finally sends it. Because if you cannot recognize peace, you may reject the very blessing you prayed for. This is the hidden blocker. You are not afraid of being abandoned anymore. You have already survived that. You are afraid of being loved correctly. Because being loved correctly means the old survival version of you can no longer stay in control. That version knew how to wait for replies. That version knew how to decode silence. That version knew how to overthink every change in tone. And even though it exhausted you, it gave you a strange sense of control, because chaos became familiar enough to feel like home. But divine union will not feel like that. It will not make you beg for reassurance every day. It will not make your chest tighten just to prove there is passion. It will not keep you addicted to the next sign, the next apology, or the next small piece of affection. And that may feel strange at first. Peace may feel too simple. Stability may feel too quiet. Consistency may feel almost suspicious. When your nervous system has been trained by emotional storms, a calm sea can feel like nothing is happening, even when heaven is finally bringing you home. This is why you must be healed enough to receive gentleness. If you are still loyal to chaos, you may call a steady person boring. If you are still loyal to fear, you may call healthy love weak. If you are still loyal to old pain, you may test the right person until they bleed. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your lifetime partner is not coming to fight the ghosts of everyone who hurt you. They may love you through healing, but they are not assigned to be punished for wounds they did not create. Heaven wants you free enough to recognize them without attacking peace. That does not mean you must be perfect. It means you must be honest. It means you must stop pretending you are ready for covenant while secretly expecting betrayal. It means you must allow God to show you the difference between caution and fear. Caution protects wisdom. Fear protects wounds. Caution says, "Let me observe fruit." Fear says, "Let me run before I am seen." Caution listens to discernment. Fear listens to memory. And in this season, heaven is separating those voices inside you, because what is coming will require clarity. Not fantasy, not panic, not the old hunger to be chosen at any cost. Clarity. You will need a mind quiet enough to notice peace, a spirit steady enough to receive love, and a heart healed enough to stop calling anxiety confirmation. This is why some of you have felt mental noise increasing right before breakthrough. Your thoughts have been crowded. Your sleep has been interrupted. Old memories have been resurfacing. And just when you start to believe something new is near, fear rises and tries to make you question everything again. That is not random. The enemy knows that divine union requires discernment. If he cannot stop the person from coming, he will try to cloud your ability to recognize them. If he cannot block the door, he will try to make you distrust the room. This is where I need to return to something I planted earlier. There is a simple 7-minute audio called the Genius Song. I am mentioning it here because many chosen ones are not lacking faith. They are carrying too much noise in the mind to hear the quiet signal heaven is sending. The Genius Song is a digital audio track designed to be heard with headphones. It uses brain entrainment, which is a way of guiding the brain toward a specific rhythm. In this case, the focus is gamma, the brainwave often connected with clarity, intuition, flow, and sudden insight. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscience researcher with 34 years of experience, helped develop this method after studying how certain sound patterns can support the brain in returning to a sharper state. Researchers from places like MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and other leading institutions have explored how brain states connect with focus, perception, and learning. Now, hear the spiritual bridge. You were born with unusual sensitivity. You sensed things early. You felt energy in rooms. You could detect changes in people before they explained anything. What the world called too sensitive, heaven often used as discernment, but heartbreak and survival mode made that gift harder to hear. That is why this matters in a message about lifetime partnership. If your mind is flooded with fear, you may misread a safe person. If your old wounds are louder than your spirit, you may call peace empty. But when clarity returns, discernment can become clean again. One man, 45 years old, described his marriage as two people living in the same house while no longer truly seeing each other. The first change he noticed was not dramatic wealth or instant romance. His mind became quieter, and when the noise dropped, he could finally hear his wife again. That story matters because sometimes love is not absent. Sometimes the mind is too loud to receive it. Sometimes the partner is not the only issue. Sometimes the inner static is blocking the ability to listen, soften, discern, and respond from peace instead of defense. Maybe you have tried prayer routines. Maybe you have tried journaling. Maybe you have tried meditation, breathing exercises, healing music, and silent walks. Some of those things can help, but for many people, they do not specifically target gamma in a focused and simple way. That is why this audio is different. It is not asking you to force yourself into a spiritual state. It is not asking you to wake up at 4 in the morning or repeat a mantra for an hour. You sit down, put on headphones, close your eyes, and listen for 7 minutes. And this has already reached many people quietly. More than 18,366 people have used it, and the refund rate has stayed under 4%. That means the proof is not only in how many tried it, but in how few felt the need to walk away from it. Think about what people often pay for clarity. A meditation app can cost around $15 a month. An online growth course can cost $100 to $200. A weekend retreat can cost $400 to $800, and one therapy session can be around $150. Those things may help, and there is no shame in using support. But most of them are not built to focus directly on gamma. Even professional biofeedback can cost around $300 per session, and it usually requires repeated visits. Dr. Lake took the core idea and placed it into a 7-minute digital audio. The regular price is $49, but for people connected to this message, it is $39 one time. No subscription, no shipping. It is delivered digitally, straight to your email. And there is more included. You receive Genius Child, valued at $19. You receive the Classic Book, valued at $20. You receive a guided visualization, valued at $29. You also receive the 5-habit infographic, valued at $12. Together, the bonuses add up to $80 in value. That is before counting the main audio itself. And the important part is this. You are not being asked to carry all the risk while hoping it works for you. There is a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you use it and feel it is not right for you, you can request a full refund. No complicated return process, no physical product to send back. And even if you choose a refund, you still keep the bonuses as an apology for the time you invested. But I need to protect you here. There are counterfeit pages and imitation audios using the name without the original brain entrainment technology. Do not search for it on Amazon. Do not search for it on YouTube. Do not search for it on Spotify. Use only the link in the description and pinned comment. That is the only way to receive the original audio, the 4 bonuses, and the guarantee connected to this message. I am not saying that to pressure you. I am saying it because counterfeit tools create counterfeit disappointment, and your clarity is too important to hand to the wrong source. Now pause. Place your hand over your heart. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself this. If heaven is preparing you for divine union, are you willing to receive clarity instead of clinging to confusion? Are you willing to trust peace when it does not feel like your past? If your spirit knows this is a step for you, the link is waiting in the description and pinned comment. Let it be quiet. Let it be simple. Let it be a choice from identity, not pressure. You are not chasing a product. You are choosing to return to clarity. Because the lifetime partner heaven sends will not arrive to a foggy version of you forever. They are meant to meet the version of you that can discern peace, receive love, and stop punishing safety for what chaos did. That is why this moment matters. You are being prepared for a love that will not require you to abandon yourself. You are being prepared for a union that will not mock your calling. You are being prepared for a partner who can stand near your anointing without needing to dim it. But now that the hidden blocker has been exposed, we have to seal this properly. You cannot step into divine union carrying the old agreement with fear. The next part will close the door on counterfeit attachment, release the old chaos, and speak over the lifetime partner heaven already decided to send. Now breathe deeply, chosen one. The hidden blocker has been exposed. The old fear has been named. The counterfeit attachment has lost its disguise. You are not standing in the same place anymore, because heaven has shown you what was love, what was fear, and what was never assigned to stay. This is the sacred seal. Not a seal made by emotion, not a seal made by fantasy. This is the moment where your spirit agrees with what heaven has already decided, and your heart stops arguing with the protection that once looked like loss. You are not being abandoned. You are being aligned. You won when you stopped begging to be chosen by people who could not see your value. You won when you stopped calling crumbs a meal. You won when you stopped explaining your depth to people who only wanted a shallow version of you. And even if your hands still look empty, your spirit is already holding a verdict. Heaven decided. This union is divine. That does not mean you need to force it. That does not mean you need to search every face, read every sign, or panic every time your life feels quiet. It means heaven is moving with wisdom, and what belongs to your assignment cannot be stolen by delay. The wrong person leaving was not the end of your love story. It was the end of a counterfeit chapter. It was the moment heaven stepped between your heart and a future that would have required you to abandon yourself. You may have cried over the exit, but heaven was protecting the entrance. So release the old door. Release the person who made you feel hard to love. Release the memory that still tries to visit when your room is quiet. Release the hope that keeps asking a closed season to become a promise. Not every attachment is an assignment, and not every ache is a sign to return. Your lifetime partner will not need you to bleed for basic care. They will not make you compete with confusion. They will not punish your honesty with distance. They will not treat your calling like a threat. The one heaven sends will recognize the weight you carry, and they will honor it with consistency. That is how you will know. Not by perfect words, not by dramatic intensity, not by a rush that makes you lose yourself. You will know by peace, fruit, patience, humility, and the way your spirit does not have to scream to be heard. Divine union will not require self-betrayal. And yes, it may still require courage. Healthy love can feel unfamiliar after survival. Being seen can feel frightening after years of being misunderstood. Being held with steadiness can feel strange after chaos trained you to expect sudden loss. But do not call peace boring because pain was once loud. The old version of you learned to survive mixed signals. The new version of you will not build a home there. The old version of you tried to earn love through endurance. The new version of you knows covenant is not proven by suffering alone. It is proven by fruit. This is where heaven is making you ready, not desperate, not frantic, not cold, ready. Ready to receive without chasing, ready to discern without fear, ready to love without losing yourself, ready to be chosen by someone who does not need you broken to feel powerful. You are allowed to be loved gently. Let that sentence enter your bones. You are allowed to be loved without confusion. You are allowed to be loved without begging. You are allowed to be loved by someone who sees your sensitivity as a gift, not a burden they must tolerate. The enemy tried to convince you that your depth would always push people away. That was a lie. The enemy tried to convince you that your standards were too high. That was a lie. The enemy tried to convince you that if the counterfeit left, love itself had left. That was a lie. Love did not leave. Counterfeit left. Confusion left. Emotional slavery left. The old pattern lost permission. And now, heaven is teaching your heart to stop grieving chains just because they were familiar. You are not mourning destiny. You are detoxing from what interrupted it. Your isolation had purpose. Your waiting had purpose. Your tears had purpose. Even the nights when you woke before morning, feeling something moving in your spirit, had purpose. Heaven was not wasting time. Heaven was removing noise, healing vision, and preparing you to recognize what peace sounds like. When your lifetime partner comes, they will not be perfect. Do not turn this into fantasy. They will be human. They will have process. They will have areas where grace is needed. But they will not require you to abandon discernment just to keep connection alive. They will bring safety that still allows truth. They will bring warmth that still honors boundaries. They will bring affection that does not weaken your purpose. And when pressure comes, they will not run from the assignment on your life, because their spirit will understand that loving you includes standing with what God called you to carry. That is why heaven took so long. Not because heaven forgot, not because your prayer was too small, not because you were unworthy. Heaven was preparing the kind of union that could survive more than attraction, because what is coming must carry weight, not just emotion. So stop measuring this season by visible movement. Some of the most sacred arrangements happen behind the curtain. Seeds grow in silence, covenants form in hidden places, hearts are prepared where no one can clap. And when heaven reveals what has been arranged, the delay will finally make sense. You will understand why the old door closed. You will understand why the almost connection failed. You will understand why your heart could not settle for someone who only loved the easy parts of you. You will understand why peace had to be restored before love could be recognized. Now place this truth in your spirit. You are not waiting for someone to complete you. You are being aligned with someone who can walk beside you. You are not begging heaven for attention. You are agreeing with heaven for covenant. You are not behind. You are becoming ready. And when you become ready, you stop negotiating with what broke you. You stop visiting the emotional graveyard for proof that you were once loved. You stop looking backward every time the future feels quiet. You learn to trust that what is divine does not need manipulation to arrive. Chosen one, let this be your release. I release the need to chase. I release counterfeit attachment. I release the fear that love always leaves. I release the belief that peace is too quiet to be real. I release every soul tie that keeps pulling me toward confusion. Now receive. I receive divine alignment. I receive holy discernment. I receive covenant love in the timing of heaven. I receive the peace that prepares me for my lifetime partner. I receive the courage to recognize what is healthy, even when it does not feel like my past. Say this in your heart. I will not reject peace because chaos feels familiar. I will not punish the right person for what the wrong person did. I will not shrink to keep love. I will not chase what heaven has not assigned. I am ready to be loved without losing myself. Let that settle. Do not rush past it. Something in you is being unhooked right now. The old agreement with fear is losing its voice. The old hunger for unstable love is losing its taste. The old lie that you are hard to love is breaking under the authority of truth. You are not hard to love. You are deep. You are not too intense. You are spiritually aware. You are not too sensitive. You are finely tuned. The person heaven sends will not need you to become smaller, because they will have the capacity to meet the real you. And when they arrive, your spirit will not need to panic. You will not have to perform. You will not have to become someone else to keep them interested. You will still need wisdom, patience, and prayer. But you will not need to abandon peace to prove love is alive. This is the seal over your next season. Counterfeit doors are closing. Divine alignment is opening. Fear is losing authority. Peace is becoming familiar. Your heart is being trained to receive without panic, and your spirit is being prepared for a union that carries heaven. If your mind has been too loud and you know you need clarity for this next season, return to the step I shared earlier. The Genius song is waiting through the link in the description and pinned comment. Let it be a quiet tool, not pressure, as you practice hearing clearly again. But whether you take that step today or not, do not leave this message without sealing your agreement. Your words matter. Your agreement matters. Your spirit must hear your own voice choose the new season, because silence has kept too many old fears alive for too long. Comment, I receive divine union. Not as a random phrase, not as a performance for strangers. Type it as a witness that your heart is done serving counterfeit love. Type it as a seal that you are ready for peace, covenant, clarity, and the person heaven decided to send. Like this message if your spirit knows it was not an accident that you heard it. Share it with another chosen one who has been grieving a closed door, because they may not know yet that heaven was not rejecting them. Heaven was protecting their covenant. Now receive this final blessing. May every counterfeit attachment lose its grip. May every anxious pattern be quieted. May every wound stop speaking louder than wisdom. May your discernment become clean. May your heart become steady. May your lifetime partner recognize you by peace. May you no longer chase what drains you. May you no longer shrink for approval. May you no longer confuse absence with mystery or inconsistency with depth. May you walk forward with dignity, softness, and authority, knowing heaven has not forgotten the love you prayed for. You won, chosen one. Not someday, not when they finally see your value, not when your hands can prove it. You won when heaven decided your heart would no longer be trained by counterfeit love. You won when the old cycle lost permission to name your future. So rest now. Trust the quiet. Honor the preparation. Keep your heart soft, but keep your discernment awake. The union is divine, and what heaven sends will not require you to lose yourself to receive it. This time, peace will not scare you. This time, you will recognize home.